Hello, everyone, and welcome to the VDMA RoboLunch. My name is Fariba Katami, and I work for VDMA Robotics and Automation, and I'll be your host and moderator for the next 45 minutes. This is the 7th edition of RoboLunch, and today's session is about the hot topic of humanoid robots. There's been a lot of development in the humanoid robotics field in the past few years, but we still have a long time or a long way to go in certain areas. So the question is, are humanoid robots just hype, or are they actually market ready and already making an impact? In the next 45 minutes, we're going to hear from 3 leading experts in the field. Each one will offer their perspective on the subject. And the important thing is that we'll have a 360-degree perspective on humanoid robots today. That's a complete overview, and that's because we have the end user perspective, we have the producer of humanoid robots here with us, and we have a component manufacturer for humanoids. So just to let you know, your cameras and your microphones are switched off so that you can relax, kick back, enjoy your lunch or your breakfast or your dinner, depending on your time zone. Before we dive in, I'd like to share a few quick notes with you. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Okay. So, yeah, just to let you know, RoboLunch is open to everyone, so please feel free to recommend it to friends, colleagues, associates. Each RoboLunch offers 3 exciting short presentations from 3 companies. They each get 9 minutes to present, and that is followed by 4 minutes of QA. Your questions are, of course, welcome. You can post your questions in the meeting chat or raise your hand and we'll unmute your microphone. I have to point out that the VDMA compliance rules apply. Compliance rules apply to all our online events, just like our in-person events. So that means any discussions on prices, discounts, or any sensitive data are strictly prohibited. And the event will be recorded. As I mentioned before, we have 3 companies with us today who will be sharing their insights. So we have BMW, we have PAD Robotics, and we have Synapticon. Let's get started with our first speaker. It's my great pleasure to introduce Carolin Richter. Carolin is the head of next generation robotics at the BMW Group, and she's responsible for testing, development, and application of advanced robotics and automation in automotive manufacturing. That includes, of course, AI-powered technology, such as BMW's trials with humanoid robots. She'll give us an introduction to humanoids in production from an end user point of view. So let me okay.
I hope everybody can see my screen. One obligatory question at the beginning. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Carolin, and it's almost 2 years I'm head of a newly created department in BMW with the fancy name Next Generation Robotics. And I can tell you it's one of the coolest jobs you can have right now in the automotive industry. Not only do we deal with embodied AI on a daily basis, my team is also responsible for the creation and development of a software robotics platform that will be the white box interface to our production system for all the black box suppliers and robots that we expect of the future, since we can only make technology work if it works in our given production system. Speaking about the future, of course, BMW has a plan for the factory of the future. Let me just see. Now it works. We have our so-called iFactories. That means we plan all our plans virtually. We use data analytics and AI to optimize our processes and production. And latest since last year, there's the dream of the intelligent robot, the dream of a versatile, flexible, autonomous automation solution that can be trained with less effort for new use cases, almost like you would train a human associate. And that would enable us as BMW Production to finally automate manual tasks that have previously been deemed impossible to automate due to cost or complexity. Robotics is also nothing new for the automotive industry. We've shaped the use of the first industrial robotic arms up to our first try with the cobots. That was a not too successful story, to be honest, in our factories. So what really helped was the in-house development of our smart transport robot by Idealworks that is now owned, I think, 100% by HR Robots. So that paved the way to gain back the trust that we lost a little bit with the cobots, to be honest. So we can try out our first POCs with, we call them multi-purpose robots, since the amount of legs is not too important for us in industry. And it really were our US colleagues in our facility in Spartanburg in South Carolina who started their first tryouts with multi-purpose robots. So they really tested the little spot from Boston Dynamics. They put it through its paces with maintenance tasks, logistic tasks, handling tasks. They even went as far as remodeling one of the insert stations for body shop for Spot to be able to put in parts. And that made a lot of ideas in a head open. What could be if we really can take robots as a brownfield solution for our given workplaces to substitute work if we don't find anyone anymore who's willing to do that job. So by the end of 2023, we did a supplier search. We traveled a little bit. That was the ground that we chose from. And by the end of 2023, we decided for Figure as our first supplier for humanoid robots. This slide is not really up to date. If we would do one today with all the new tech players that have developed, with the, I think, almost 100 new startups from China, we could not fill it on that page. But back in 2023, this was our decision base. And then already in January 24, we had a kickoff with Figure in their headquarters in San Francisco.
I will make coffee.
And we watched Figure doing some coffee. Of course, not every try really went well, but whenever it worked, that Figure could grab a coffee capsule, the whole office went nuts. It's a completely different work environment that I think most in our German plants are used. And on the right-hand side, you can see how they're trained. And I know it's from last year, but it's still kind of state of the art of what most of the humanoids startups or the bigger suppliers do. So the human does imitation learning with the robots. They tailor operate movements. There's different ways of doing that. But in an average, it's depending on the complexity of the movement, depending on the variety of the movements needed. You can have one of those policies that you need to train up to 100, 150, 200 times to put it in a robot model, which is extensive. And we hope that this development even goes further. And already by the end of the year, Figure had duplicated our BMW insert stations in their headquarters in San Francisco multiple times to do duration testing and durability testing of software and hardware. It's amazing with which speed they operate. We have this body shop use case that you see that we chose as a first use case, since body shop is really known to automation. We have structured processes, we have well-described processes, we have environments that can be controlled. And we did not choose a logistics use case to start with, since in the beginning Figure already had another partner for logistics. So that was for us the first use case to start with. And now we have a robot up and running as a pilot in our plant facility in Spartanburg that works alongside its human counterparts. Of course, there's still a security fence around it. It's still a pilot in a pilot phase, but it's working their A and B shift, so the whole working production day. For this try, we have connected the robot with the PLC of the body shop insert station for communication. For the future, I think we'll use a different technology to do that. And as you can see, We have not a fully end-to-end automated use case here. Figure still needs to be handed the parts for pick and place, but this is the very next step on their development stage. So to really have a fully end-to-end automated use case so Figure can grab out of these boxes. And as exciting as this journey with Figure has been over the year, and I'm sure will be also in our next tryouts and use cases, next to this form factor of humanoids.
2 minutes, Caroline?
Yes. 2 minutes left?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We see a big and a huge paradigm shift in robotics as a whole that has traveled a little bit on the backpack of the Gen AI developments of the past 2 years. So because we're really interested in the robots kind of intelligent, the underlying software, we already invest in an own BMW software platform that, like I said, will be the white box as a connector to all the black box systems. It's run on ROS2 as a middleware, which is kind of an open source library of different modules that can be combined to any hardware supplier as long as they have a ROS driver. I think some of you already heard of ROS. We are, I think, the first ones who actually want to use this as a middleware on a platform basis. If you want to join, we are happy to see other customers using this product also to make it more industrial available. And the next big thing for us, if you look at the evolution of AI that we use in production, will be physical AI. What all the large language models cannot do, besides their big knowledge about the world, is they have no understanding about the physical world, about the spatial relationship of things. There is no internet for robotic movement data. That's why we're really interested in companies like you see here from Physical AI that offer open source stacks of teleoperated data. And our idea is to bring this to our production processes. You can see a pre-production process that we have in our assembly lines. And as easy as this looks from the outside, bring 2 parts together, 3 screws, we could not automate this with conventional automation technology on a cost-wise basis. So that's why we gain some expert knowledge already in our own lab. We try to use AI models to also steer robots. So we are investing ourselves time and money into the exploration of robotic foundation models because we think that will be the game changer of the future, to actually have knowledge that travels from one robot to the other, from one movement to the next, to be faster and easier with use cases in establishment.
We should go to the questions and answers.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Carolin. Right on time. Thank you so much. This was really interesting. I have one question on my own. The robot working alongside humans on the shop floor. How do the people feel about that, working with a humanoid?
So far, they're quite interested in working with robots. We also had some expectations that it could be otherwise. We also talked, the first thing we talked before we started any POC was talking to the union in our production lines. And however, it was a quite positive encounter, since they already see that we're going to have workplaces in the future where we will have a hard time finding people still doing those jobs. And if there's 10 people missing in the morning, it's not just a problem for those 10 workplaces, it's a problem for the whole productivity of a production plant. So that's why there is a good fit, and we still have a couple of those really unergonomically dangerous workspaces. We have high voltage workspaces we have right now. So that could be a good fit for any form of multi-purpose robot.
Yes, great. So we have a couple of questions in the chat, and let me get to them. What's the status of your ROS product, ATM? Haven't heard about that, it says. Does it enable humanoid actuation like arm control?
Not yet. That is something we want to do for the future. Right now, it enables us to use any cobot use case that we want to do ourselves. We are able to integrate suppliers on that platform for certain modules, and it makes us faster while scaling those robots in production. So we can jump from one use case to the other one quite quick.
Okay, there's another question here. Where do you see the biggest challenges right now?
The biggest challenges? like in the whole industry, humanoids or multi-purpose robots, or all the software companies who are investing in foundation models right now, everybody's looking for this one general AI for the robot, and it's still hard to figure out how big needs to be the data model. Which data do I need? Do I need pre-trained models? There's still the search for this one intelligent robot that I can operate just by speech or by observational learning. And until that is, I think teleoperation is the way to go, but we're kind of still waiting for that future to key in.
Yeah, let's get on to one more question because we don't have much time left. How fast, wait a minute, how fast are the humanoid robots compared to humanoid operators today?
They're not as fast as the human operators, but this is something that hardware will solve over the next year. They're a little bit slow by walking with those legs. So like I said, we wouldn't need legs. We could also work with rolling or platforms. And that's why we also look at different concepts than just legs.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And the time is up. For some questions that are still left in the chat, I apologize, but you can always reach out to the speakers afterwards. We will have the presentations also for you that we can send out, and the contact details will be on that. Let's move on to our second speaker. So please join me in welcoming Francesco Ferro. He's the CEO and co-founder of Robotics, which is based in Barcelona. And it's a real pioneer in European humanoid production. I personally don't think there's anyone who doesn't know Francesco or Robotics, at least in the European robotics community. So we're really happy that you could make it today, Francesco. Francesco's talk will take us through Robotics' impressive journey, I have to say, and highlighting over 20 years of innovation and breakthroughs in humanoid robots. Happy to have you on. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Fariba. I have 9 minutes. I have a lot of slides to show to you, but I will try to go very fast in order to show what we did in the last 20 years. So nowadays we are based in Europe. We started in Barcelona more than 20 years ago. We have now different branches in Toulouse, in France, and Bari in Italy, and we are just doing robotics from scratch. But this is more or less our portfolio. And we are also in a lot of associations that allow us to be aware about what is going on in Europe. But now just let's start with some video that in my opinion are very important because it shows us that this kind of technology it was already there in the past. So we did our first robots in humanoid biped robots in 2005. We just made another one in 2008. Then we just decide that humanoid's form is not only on leg. So we also think that doing on wheels is important. So the most important things of this kind of developments is interaction, because one of our most difficult competitor is our mobile phone. So the robots has to be something different between this. So from social point of view, but also from interaction point of view. Okay, and our idea is about service robotics is that robots has to collaborate with people. So this was, in our opinion, the most important things in order to work. And based on that, nowadays, we are now 3 different business units internally. One is about the mobile interaction that is exactly try to perform all the interaction that we need in industry, at home, but also in the hospital, for example. We are still developing the legged stuff that hopefully now in the last 2 years, probably we have seen an explosion of companies that are doing this kind of developments on legged. And we are working in intralogistic, especially with the wheeled robots. So we have different robots, and one of them is, for example, you can see there is the Stockbot that we did a big deployment all around the world. We are more than 200 robots in 15 countries that are doing inventory every day. In Singapore, for example, 24 hours. But apart of that, how we are doing this, thanks also to the collaborative project. So we had more or less 25 European founded projects. And we have categorized in different things. We would like to be in the state of the art. So for this reason, we have a lot of R&D projects, but we are working hard in the healthcare and the industry in order to make this kind of solution available to the real public. But now just let's speak about humanoids, because I promise you to have different humanoids. And the idea of humanoids is to have a versatile and multi-purpose robots nowadays. So the idea is to have something that could be adaptable, piped or wheels, but the idea is to make these robots useful for different tasks. Okay, we have different partners that we are working with, and we have different solutions to show you. So one is the Talos, that in my opinion is still one of the unique robot developments all around the world. We did in collaboration with University of Las in Toulouse. For this reason, we have also a joint lab with them, and these very tough robots. It can take with single arm, with stretch arm, up to 6 kilograms, okay, per arm. And so this help the robots to do different tasks that could be very nice. And this is everything in total control. That is exactly the next step in robotics, okay? This help us and also our partners to use the robot in different way for different reasons and give the possibility to have a whole body balancing and controlling. This is the most important part. In full electrical stuff, and we from scratch use ROS. So we are using ROS from the beginning, okay? And actually, yesterday I was in Edinburgh, and Steve Cousin, that was the CEO of Willow Garage, just mentioned us. And this is something very important. Another development that I want to show you is the Kangaroo. That is our last stuff. And one of the important things is that we just decide to don't have a head, because if you don't need to have this kind of interaction with the public, you don't need a head, and could be very nice in order to have the workspace to take the bags from one side to the other bags. And so you don't have a front and back of the robots, but you can use really the robots like a multi-purpose robots. We have done a lot of simulation. We are giving also this for free in order to control the robots, and we are doing a lot of optimal control. We are quite good in reinforcement learning, and now we are hoping in generative AI, but also embodied AI and physical AI in order to allow and try on the real hardware all these kind of things. So we are not stuck so only one of the middleware, but we are using a lot of different AI middleware. The idea is, for example, in Automatica, we show the robots that could take things from the floor and put at the other side. The robots can standing up, going down and standing up. It can jump, for this reason called Kangaroo. But the most important thing is able to do the compliant control. And this is one important thing with the legged robots. But like I said before, in my opinion, humanoids are not only with legs, but also with wheels. So for this reason, I would like to show you the Tiago stuff. That is the acronym for Take It and Go. Probably you have seen, we are going in a lot of events and trade show. And the idea here is exactly the modularity. Why I can't use an end effector from another company and we have to build everything at home? No, the idea is use different things, be compliant with other companies in order to use it, and always on the middleware. So the modularity from hardware and software point of view is exactly one of the big pillar of this solution. And so just to show you some of the video that we did in some European project, but also some clients projects, even in agriculture, here you can see the Tiago doing different things. Most of the time I visit a lot of universities all around the world, and they always said that, okay, I would like to do this kind of research, but I can't because the platform is too expensive. And so I purchased this one that is a little bit cheaper, but I can do exactly what I have to do, or I reinvent the hardware. So our idea is exactly the opposite way around. So try to do the things with the same hardware and having the possibility to expand it using a new sensor.
Francesco, I think your screen was frozen, but
it's frozen. Oh,
now it's okay. Now it's going again.
Okay. Sorry for that.
Now everything is okay.
And yeah, and the new development that we did is the Tiago Pro. So we even increase, especially the workspace of these robots, and make it a little bit more appealing. And so this is our last proposition for robotics and AI nowadays in order to do this kind of developments. We are compatible with a lot of different middleware AI, like I said before. And for this reason, we also make a test bed in Automatica, where you can see a very simple way of teleoperated robots. So we have exactly the same arm of the robot in a station, and you can control the robots in a different way in order to make different things. And it's very intuitive. I think that in the public, I've seen a lot of people that already test it. And the idea is exactly to use these kind of things to make things properly. We are working a lot in the retailer, because we have also in the other business units a lot of contacts on that. That is the most important things. For this reason, you can see also the Tiago Pro taking clothes, putting in a different way, and we are proud to do this kind of things, also in collaboration with other companies. So I think that I have 30 seconds left. So this is the use cases. The last message that I want to send to you is these three pillars. So from one side, the market doesn't care if it's legged or wheeled or quadruped, because I've seen also in the previous presentation there was a quadruped. The manipulation is the real challenge, and AI now hopefully can help us to do it very, very good. And we have also to allow the users to personalize their robots. And this is the most important part. For this reason, use the open source, ROS 2, ROS 1, whatever, but make the things and the ball going. Thank you a lot.
Thank you so much, Francesco. This was really fantastic. Yeah, thank you for sharing your story with us. Let's go to questions now. We have about 4 minutes. There's one question from Nikolai Tomatis. He wants to know who you are. Who's this guy? I think you guys can work it out later. You can explain to him who you are. And then the next question, what requirements do you have on ceiling and wheels components? How important are they?
This is a long discussion also that we say, but there's a
Make
different
it short,
limitation. Yeah, we try. The different things that we have is based on the environment where the robot has to do. So all the time that we did a real deployment on house, we face front different kind of things that usually is the limitation for the sensor that they're using. If it's a laser scanner, for example, in 2D, you have, for example, some kind of limitation. But making a sensor fusion, usually you can figure out a solution for that.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, next question. How's the reaction of the market to power robots? The more versatile, the bigger the market?
So
they want to know if they have more versatility. Is the market share bigger for you?
Actually, like a robots manufacturer, we would like to work more and more with integrators in order to have this kind of solution implemented. Because at the moment we have, even if we are nowadays 120 people, we have not the force in order to work with all the companies that are just asking to collaborate with us. So the idea is to have more people involved in order to make things together. And the most important thing is that we have a lot of know-how how to modify this kind of solution to do different solutions. For example, in the Tiago Pro that I just presented in the University of Rand, we did a solution with 3 arms. Instead of the head, another arms that could have different sensors in order to make better manipulation.
Great, thank you. Let's see if there are any other questions. We have about 1 minute left. If not, we can move on. Okay, thank you very much, Francesco. Then let's move on to our third speaker. And I'm thrilled to welcome our final speaker, Nikolai Ensslen. Nikolai is the founder and CEO of Synapticon, and Synapticon is a provider of intelligent drive and safety technologies for robotics and mechanical engineering. Nikolai's talk is on the humanoid horizon. Where are we standing? And he'll give us an overview on the current state and future of humanoid robots. Welcome, Nikolai. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Fariba. Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be able to make a contribution to this RoboLunch. I've got 10 slides for 9 minutes, so let's see how that goes. Real quick, who is Synapticon? We are a key enabler for robot manufacturers, helping them to build better products faster by focusing on the difficult to build components and infrastructure that you need in every robot, basically. So the parts that are the same, basically, in every robot. Motion electronics and drives, all the infrastructure there, motion control infrastructure that kind of the AI sits on top, and the safety stack, functional safety from the drive to the whole system safety control. And we do full stack, share our robotics engineering expertise, being kind of a platform to share experience and consult customers across the stack. And we're working with most of the humanoid players that you actually see in the media, and several of them that you see less in China, for example. So yeah, most companies actually do buy individual components from us or work with us full throttle. Now, I would like to start with basically the question, do humanoids make sense, and why do they make sense, and why is this happening now? So there are two key reasons why we are suddenly seeing so many humanoids popping up everywhere, so many companies, more than 150 in the world already, similar to when the automotive industry came to life like 100 years ago. So there's a giant leap in the reasoning capabilities. So, I mean, obviously, this most recent evolution in AI led to these new capabilities that a robot doesn't need to be programmed anymore. What is less appreciated is that there is a disruptive reduction of software engineering complexity. So a humanoid robot was extremely difficult to be programmed with conventional software. Now it's super easy. So what is happening is basically that the capabilities of the technology are up, and the efforts came down, as usual when there is a disruptive technology coming to the table. Now, why humanoid? Why is it exactly humanoid, and why are so many so bullish about this form? Of course, in the human world, the human form is the most universal hardware. What does that mean? It's also then the best scaling robot hardware. So far, we were building purpose-built robots for all different kinds of applications. So you have a floor cleaning robot, a window cleaning robot, a logistics robot. So basically for every task, there is a separate robot, and for each of them, the market is very small. Now, if we manage to build a truly universal robot, the market is really, really big. And that is the promising thing on the hardware side. And then on the AI side, it's so promising because humans can teach robots that look like humans very easily. Robots can learn from human video data, for example, from imitation and so on. And that simply means that the universal form let also AI scale best. So it's the best scaling hardware form and the best scaling form for physical AI because of data scarcity and stuff like this. And we have a lot of data then of that. And that is an impressive development, obviously. Now, why actually legs? And this is a discussion that we're having in Europe a lot. Do they need to be on legs? Like Carolin said, also in our factory, they don't need to climb stairs. They can have wheels as well. That's right. So industrial automation context, that is true. But there we generally have potentially the smallest area of application of humanoids, because what mostly counts is precision, repeatability, and throughput. So how we automate factories until today. Actually, humanoids and AI controls are not particularly good for that. That's also why we have automated factories without humanoids. The big thing for humanoids is actually outside of factories. It's, of course, the remaining stuff inside factories that humans are doing, but even more, it's physical labor in other areas where we do not have robots at all so far. That is a huge market. If we're imagining this, then a wheeled workforce is just as capable as a human workforce on wheelchairs, actually. So it's, I think, by that dimension relevant, not only for the AI and the teachability of the robots, but also in terms of how capable these robots will ultimately be. Why is it important? Obviously, the labor shortage that we're already experiencing, and this is getting dramatic. If the world economy is growing with 2% each year, then we will have only half of the workforces that we need for simple physical human labor. And that is a huge impact for the global economies. This will be devastating, actually. So we urgently need to have a solution to automate physical labor. And that is a huge market, with $24 trillion already back in 2022. So we need to urgently fix that. Now, where are we standing? Technical and commercial maturity. I'm distinguishing usually these three dimensions of maturity that I will elaborate on where we are standing. AI capabilities, the cost, and safety are the three critical paths actually that need to evolve in order to bring the humanoids from applications where they are commercially viable today, which is security and inspection, for example, and entertainment. If you look at the Chinese robots, they are massively focusing on entertainment in China, it's a consumer topic. Meantime, consumers are buying humanoids to have them fight in box fights against each other and stuff like that, have them dance and stuff like that. It's really crazy what's going on there and what's the focus on entertainment. Then next up, what you see most startup demonstrations currently in research with pilots, for example, in the automotive context, logistics and material handling and manufacturing. But manufacturing is actually a long journey. So there are tasks that can be done today, and then there will be tasks that only will become possible as AI evolves and as the costs come down. Cleaning and healthcare is next up. Cleaning, a pretty exciting area. If you imagine how would a robot look like that cleans an airplane inside or a train inside, it's obviously a human form. And then, in my point of view, the largest area for humanoid application, agriculture and mining and construction. That's where a lot of people are working, and that's an area where we otherwise would need to have a lot of different robots, and where a human robot form can just make a big difference. Then craft, and last but not least, just because it's so difficult to make cost-effective, highly capable consumer products, and the consumer is the most critical customer. So in homes, we will see these devices last, also because of safety criticality. Now, capabilities. So one dimension is the user interface, teleoperation, imitation learning tools, and so on. They need to evolve to become better. Now with AI model performance and the generalization of AI, currently we're at the point where the vision language action models today, they can basically have good reliability for a 30 seconds task with 10 hours of demonstration. That's cool. So we can do quite something with it, but to the ultimate generalization and universal capability of a robot, we still need to go. We need to improve imitation data collection, training based on video data, simulation, also real world reinforcement learning. And then hands, picking versus grasping. 50% of all the AI criticality is actually in the hands. It's the same for the human. You might have seen this figure before, the homunculus, that illustrates basically how much of brain capacity is consumed by which body area, and it's the same for humanoids and for robots. So in the hands, there will be going a lot more development until we have full human capabilities. Now, real quick, safety. We need to evolve from where we are in industrial robots and cobots and mobile robots today into what humanoids need in order to address the instability of the legs and the autonomy of the AI controls. And this is a new area where a lot is being done, where new standards are being defined right now. Synapticon is there at the forefront with the currently only commercially available solution for humanoid and AI-controlled robot safety, and we're actively contributing to the standards that are being defined to address that. Many applications can be covered today, but not all. We need new answers, and we need to establish the standards to bring humanoids into all applications. So there is also still a journey to go to evolve that. Now, cost. This is basically also from Synapticon's resources and illustration of what's the spectrum of cost right now. So, for example, when working with the Synapticon portfolio as a reference, you can basically build a robot from 8,250 euros up to 80K of euros. So basically, that's the spectrum that we have today. And it needs to be further brought down. It really depends on what the actual features are and what the robot is supposed to be doing, entertainment only or very high-end, high-performance applications. Yeah, so how long will it take? Last slide. I also don't know, but I had an idea how to compare it and how to make a guess. So I asked AI to do a deep research about how long it took from hype to real economic scale for other technology waves. And you see them here in this table. And based on that, the best guess is that we have about 5 years to some commercial relevance. That means that these things are doing sensible work on a respectable scale. And like 15 years until this is a very significant industry and kind of defining our everyday lives. But that is just, how to say, a subjective prediction based on some approach. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm not sure actually if I was in the time. Have I been in the time? I was speeding up a lot.
I think you're right on time.
Good,
well
great.
Done.
Thank you very much.
And yes, and thank you so much. This was really informative and quite complete. You basically answered a lot of the questions that I had. So this was really fantastic. Let's go to the chat and see if there's anything for you. There's a question, Nikolai. What is your focus market for humanoids, Asia, North America, or Europe?
So we have most activity in North America, actually. and second in Asia, and third in Europe when it comes to humanoids, especially. Of course, otherwise in other markets, our main market is Europe, like traditional automation and so on, that is still strongest, and also traditional robotics and so on, and then second Asia, and nearly nothing in the US. But for humanoids, it's the other way around. The most progressive companies, full stack, still are based in the US. And we have extremely good companies in Europe as well, referring to PAL for sure. Hexagon and Nura, for example. 1X just moved over to the US. It's not a European company anymore. Extremely good companies, but it's just very few compared to what there is in North America and what there is in China. And yeah, we're mostly working with North American companies and with Chinese companies, therefore.
Okay. Thank you. There's another comment or question. I'm not sure. It says, I think 5 to 15 years looks too pessimistic for me. Should ramp up in the next 12 to 18 months, but later in the more regulated countries. I'm not sure exactly what the last part means.
Yeah.
So if they wonder if the ramp up should be in the next 12 to 18 months,
yes.
But is it more late in the countries with more regulations?
There's a lot of anticipation now, of course, and it's very inspiring to see these promising demos when the vision language action models are being used to perform certain tasks, and these videos look great. If you take a close look to the reliability of these and how flexible they can be applied, then this is where you are hitting these hard 20% of the Pareto principle, and that's what we're dealing with. This is why it's how to say, unfortunately, not good to expect in the next 12 to 24 months to have reliable operating robots doing real valuable work that justifies their cost, unfortunately. And so many of the companies, they make us believe that because it helps them also to get funding and so on. This is important, and we all need to be excited about it. And the capabilities are growing extremely rapidly, but the problem is the last couple of percent until value creation and reliability is at a degree that it just makes sense. Just imagine now, I think the most obvious, or the most that everybody can basically understand use case and criticality is, would you want to have a dishwasher at home that only works 7 out of 10 times?
No.
And it costs 20,000 euros? You would not use this. The consumer is even as critical as that they would not buy a 500 euros device that would only work 7 out of 10 times. But with humanoids and VLAs, in single tasks, we are coming to such reliability. And yeah, so there's a way there, and it will, in one aspect, it will be faster than we can all imagine. On the other hand side, until it's really, really useful and really delivering value, and there is a relevant adoption, this will be within the next 5 years. It can be 3, it can be 5. I don't know. There I'm not sure about.
Thank you. Thank you for the answer. We are out of time for the QA part of the
Sorry for answering
program. No, that's fine. It's
very,
covered
very
it all.
relevant
It's
topic.
Yes, and we have some more questions actually in the chat that we don't have time for the answers, but as I mentioned, you can reach out to the speakers. You will get their contact info, and you can contact them directly later. So a big thank you to all our experts for their informative and valuable perspectives. This was really, really interesting. So thank you all. So now I'd like to go back to our original question. Let me share my screen. We'd like to know what you think. Do you think? Let me share this correctly. Sorry. Okay. So do you think, A, humanoids are still mostly hype? Or do you think humanoids will be market ready soon and making an impact? This is pretty quick. You can download the QR code. You can also, the link is posted in the chat. So my colleague Charlotte would then share the results very quickly so you can see yourself what everybody thinks.
Yes, I can quickly share the screen because we already got some.
Yeah, let's see if the speakers have convinced the audience either way. So Charlotte, what do you think?
Yeah, so we have most of the people have answered the humanoids are still mostly hype, and only 30% at the moment humanoids will be market ready soon.
So 30% market ready soon, so it's almost 70%. They're mostly hype.
Yeah, I think that's the most part. We're still getting some answers, but still.
So the majority goes with A.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay.
Exactly.
Very interesting. This is
the
interesting.
The question is, what is soon, right? So this is probably.
Yeah, like fairly soon, like not in 10 years or 5 years, but sooner than that.
Yes.
But yeah, I would assume so. Okay, this was good. Thank you for that. And now we're almost to the end, but before we go, please take a few seconds to evaluate our event. Let us know what you think and how we can improve. This is very short and it's not going to take you much time. And the link is also posted in the chat. So let's see. I will just stop the sharing here. All right. Okay. So we are now at the end of our program. Again, a big thank you to our speakers. And on behalf of the VDMA Robotics and Automation team, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today, taking the time out of your lunchtime or having your lunch with us today. We hope you found the discussions informative and inspiring. And we look forward to seeing you at our future events. Have a great rest of the day.